Hey guys, I hope you're good. I want to start off by apologising in case there is any background noise in this video. I'm filming on a weekday, which means that the building site right next to my boat is operational. Unfortunately, it's the only day that I could set aside for filming, so if I have to put up with it all the time, you guys are just gonna have to too. I've been doing some fantastic cruising and I'm editing those videos at the moment. They are going to be fantastic, so make sure that you subscribe to my channel so you don't miss those. Today I'm going to attempt to answer one of the most frequent questions that I get asked. Lots of people online and in real life tell me that they're attracted to narrowboating and that they are planning a narrowboat holiday. And especially in real life, when people tell me this, the conversations always go in the same direction all the time. And the question I am asked more than anything is whether you can get done for drink driving in charge of a narrowboat. I just know already that the comments on this video are going to be interesting, so please keep it nice. So to answer the question, I will break it down into two parts. Firstly, the legal aspect, and then secondly, about etiquette. So if you're only interested in the legal aspect, you don't have to watch all the way to the end of the video. So the short answer is yes, you can get done for drink driving in charge of a narrowboat. In the UK, there are two laws that you could potentially be prosecuted under for being drunk in charge of a boat. The Merchant Shipping Act 1995, and another one that I'm a lot more familiar with is the Railways and Transport Safety Act 2003. The Merchant Shipping Act is not really going to be relevant for a narrowboat, so what we'll concentrate on is the Railway and Transport Act. People who work on boats are also covered by this law, but in 2003 there was an amendment, and that specifically included non-professional boaters, so they come under section 80 of this law. And section 80 applies to people who are on board a boat, people who are navigating or attempting to navigate a boat whilst their ability to do so is impaired by being under the influence of drugs and or alcohol. And these are the legal limits versus the UK drink drive limit. So you can see that the limit on a boat is actually lower than on the road. And if you are convicted, the maximum penalty is 2 years imprisonment and a fine. However, this law has never been enforced, and it is also very difficult to enforce. This law is primarily a railway law, and it was amended in 2003 for a number of reasons. The Incident Investigation Authority for serious incidents on the railways and on tramways changed, and the Act had to reflect this. And also the British Transport Police wanted to be able to appoint community support officers, and that also needed to be reflected in the Act, and there were some other things as well. So whilst the Act was being amended, a legal limit for drugs and alcohol was set for boating as well as for aviation, and that was to bring it in line with the limits set for railway and other transport workers, which is why, as I mentioned before, the limit is lower than the drink drive limit. But obviously they included a section in the Act to cover non-professional boaters as well. Because it is primarily a railway law, the British Transport Police are the authority who are most familiar with these laws and most likely to seek prosecution under them. But their jurisdiction only covers the railways. So if you're bopping along on your boat down the Regent's Canal, it's not like a load of BTP are going to be patrolling, waiting for you with a breathalyzer kit. If you were to be involved in a serious incident on your boat where somebody were killed or seriously injured, or you damaged another boat or some property, and you were going to be prosecuted for another offence, then there is an increased likelihood that the police or the CPS could seek to additionally charge you under the Railways and Transport Act. However, it's not really likely. Number one, they're going to be more interested in securing a conviction on the more serious crime, And the second reason that I say that and it's very relevant at the moment. There was a story in the news recently. A man was convicted of manslaughter last month because of an incident that happened a few years ago. Basically, he took a woman on a date and they both got very drunk, and he tried to impress her by taking her out on his speedboat, which he hadn't properly maintained. He was speeding on it and he gave the controls to the woman. Unfortunately, the boat crashed and she did pass away. And he's been convicted of manslaughter, but there was no mention in any of the media coverage of him also being prosecuted under the Railways and Transport Act. So I don't believe that that actually happened, and in such a serious and tragic event, if no prosecution was sought then I think for something more minor, chances of being prosecuted are very, very slim. If you are planning on going out on a boat and getting sozzled, just remember number one rule of boating: don't be a dick. I know it can be really exciting to go out with all of your friends and try something new. Boats are cool, blah 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 blah, but just have a bit of respect for the waterways and the other people that you're sharing them with. So it's not cool to be driving like a maniac and not have any control over them, bash into other boats. And even if you are trying to be sensible, if you're under the influence of drugs or alcohol, then your reactions will be delayed. And I know narrowboating is really slow. Things don't often go wrong, but when they do go wrong, they can go really badly wrong. And if you don't know what you're doing, it can be really dangerous. And if you do know what you're doing, it can still be dangerous. And a lot of people that are going to be going on boating holidays will be doing it for the first time. They won't be experienced with driving. And if you were going to be learning to drive a car for the first time, you wouldn't turn up off of your tits, would you? So don't do the same if you're going on a boat. Keep an eye out for other people that you are on your boating holiday with, especially after dark if you're going to be having a few drinks. People can fall in and you won't necessarily hear them, and they may not be able to call out for help. And if you are hiring the boat and the company that you've hired from gets lots of complaints about you, then they could take the boat back and cut your holiday short. And that would be the most expensive pub crawl ever. Totally not worth it, right? If you want to get super drunk on your own boat or your friend's boat and then you're going to drive it around and cause a nuisance to people, again, if enough complaints come in, then the CRT could revoke or refuse to renew a license. So in summary, boating is fantastic. It's a brilliant way to unwind. And if at the end of a long day's cruising you want to unwind with a few drinks, that's brilliant, but just remember, do it responsibly, be safe, look after other people as well, and you'll have a much safer and more enjoyable experience. Thank you so much for watching. I hope I didn't come across as being too preachy. I just want everyone to enjoy themselves and not die. I will see you all again very, very soon. Bye!